Selamat pagi semuanya, selamat datang di perkuliahan Reading pertemuan ke-13. Dan di materi kali ini kita akan mempelajari materi yang baru, yaitu tentang What is Creative Thinking. Next. What is Creative Thinking by Roger von Oech. I once asked advertising legend Carl Oley what makes the creative person think. Ellie responded, the creative person wants to be a know-it-all. He wants to know about all kinds of things, ancient history, 19th century mathematics, current manufacturing techniques, flower arranging, and hope futures. Because he never knows when these ideas might come together to form a new idea. It may happen 6 minutes later or 6 years down on the road, but he has faith that it will happen. I agree wholeheartedly. Knowledge is the stuff from which new ideas are made. Nonetheless, knowledge alone won't make a person creative. I think that we've all known people who knew lots of facts and nothing creative happened. Their knowledge just sat in their crania because they didn't think about what they knew in any new ways. The real key to be creative lies in what you do with your knowledge. Creative thinking requires an attitude that allows you to search for ideas and manipulate your knowledge and experiences. With this outlook, you try various approaches, first one, then another, often not getting anywhere. You use crazy, foolish, and impractical ideas as stepping stones to practical new ideas. You break the rules occasionally and explore for ideas in unusual outside places. In short, by adopting a creative outlook, you open yourself up both to new possibilities and to change. Next. A good example of a person who did this is Johann Gutenberg. What Gutenberg did was combine two previously unconnected ideas, the wine press and the coin punch. The purpose of the coin punch was to leave an image on a small area such as gold coin. The function of the wine press was, and still is, to apply force over a large area to squeeze the juice out of grapes. One day, Gutenberg, perhaps after he had drunk a goblet or two of wine, playfully asked himself, what if I took a bunch of these coin punches and put them under the force of the wine press so that they left their image on paper? The resulting combination was the printing press and movable type. Navy Admiral Grace Hopper had the task of explaining the meaning of a nanosecond to some non-technical computer users. A nanosecond is a billionth of a second, and it's the basic time interval of a supercomputer's internal clock. She wondered, how can I get them to understand the brevity of a nanosecond? Why not look at it as a space problem rather than a time problem? I will just use the distance light travels in 1 billionth of a second. She pulled out a piece of string 30 centimeters long, 11.8 inches, and told her visitors, here is 1 nanosecond. In 1792, the musicians of French Joseph Haydn's orchestra got mad because the Duke promised them a vacation but continually postponed it. They asked Haydn to talk to the Duke about getting some time off. Haydn thought for a bit, decided to let music do the talking, and then wrote the Farewell Symphony. The performance began with a full orchestra, but as the piece went along, it was scored to need fewer and fewer instruments. As each musician finished his part, he blew out his candle and left the stage. They did this one by one until the stage was empty. The Duke got the message and gave them a vacation. So all of these texts are trying to explain about how a person managed to improve their creative thinking skills, but not always based on the facts that they know, but based on what can they do with the knowledge that they have and be more creative with it. Just like what Gutenberg did to the printing press and the movable type to be punched out of the paper, and also how the musician managed to get a vacation time by doing a performance with a full orchestra and ended it with a few orchestra played or a few instruments were played during the stage, and then the two got the message and gave them the vacation itself. Then there's Pablo Picasso. One day he went outside his house and found an old bicycle. He looked at it for a little bit and took off the seat and the handlebars. Then he welded them together to create the head of a ball. Each of these examples illustrates the creative mind's power to transform one thing into another by changing perspective and playing with our knowledge. We can make the ordinary extraordinary and the unusual commonplace. In this way, wine presses squeezed out of information string is transformed into nanoseconds, labor grievance become symphonies, and bicycle seats turn into ball sets. The Nobel Prize-winning physician Albert Georgi put it well when he said, discovery consists of looking at the same thing as everyone else and thinking something different. Here are two quick exercises to give you a chance to think of something different. Exercise 1. An eccentric old king wants to give his throne to one of his two sons. He decides that a horse race will be a run, and the son who owns the slower horse will become king. The sons each fearing that the other will cheat by having his horse run less fast than that it's capable. As the court fall for his advice, with only two words, the fool tells them how to make sure that the race will be fair. What are the two words? Exercise 2. Can you think of a way in which you put a sheet of newspaper on the floor so that when the two people standing face to face on it, they won't be able to touch one another? Cutting or tearing the paper is not allowed. Neither is tying up the people or preventing them from moving. Why don't we think something different more often? There are several main reasons. The first is that we don't need to be creative for most of what we do. For example, we don't need to be creative when we are driving on the freeway or riding in an elevator or waiting in line at a grocery store. We are creatures of habit when it comes to the business of leaving everything from doing paperwork to tying our shoes to haggling with telephone solicitors. For most of our activities, these routines are indispensable. Without them, our lives will be in chaos, and we wouldn't get much accomplished. If you got up this morning and started contemplating with the bristles of your toothbrush or questioning the meaning of toast, you probably wouldn't make it to work. Staying on routine thought paths enable us to do the many things we need to do without having to think about them. Another reason we are not more creative is that we haven't been taught to be. Much of our educational system is an elaborate game of guess what the teacher is thinking. Many of us have been taught to think that the best ideas are in someone else's head. How many of your teachers ask you, what original ideas do you have? And there are times, however, when you need to be creative and generate new ways to accomplish your objectives. When this happens, your own belief systems may prevent you from doing so. Here we come to a third reason why we don't think something different more often. Most of us have certain attitudes that lock our thinking into the status quo and keep us thinking more of the same. These attitudes are necessary for most of what we do, but they can get in the way when we are trying to be creative. New vocabulary. Advertising legend means a person who has become famous in the field of advertising. Make a person tick means what makes a person behave the way he or she does. Futures means shares in the stock market that are bought or sold in advance of delivery. Crania means skulls or plural form of cranium. Manipulate your knowledge and experience means use your knowledge and experience in different ways. Outlook means point of view. Navy admiral means an officer of very high rank in the Navy who commands a group of ships. Scored means written in musical notation format with specific part for each instrument. New vocabulary. Put it well means express the idea well, make the point. Eccentric means having some strange or unusual ideas or ways of doing things. Freeway means a large highway with no tolls. Haggling means arguing usually over money. And status quo from Latin means the way things are. And multiple choice. For each item below, circle the best answer. Choose the best answer that you think the right answer in this multiple choices exercises. Number 1. The main purpose of the reading is to A. Explain how the printing press was invented. B. Teach readers how to think creatively. C. Explain why Haydn wrote the Farewell Symphony. And D. Criticize teachers and educational systems. 2. According to the author, people who think creatively do all the following except A. Contemplate the bristles of their toothbrushes. B. Try to learn everything they can about a wide range of topics. C. Look at the same thing as everyone else and think of something different. D. Use crazy, foolish, and impractical ideas. Next. Number 3. The examples given by the author show the power of the creative mind to A. Transform one thing into another in an original way. B. Give the correct answers to exercises. C. Ask their teachers what they are thinking. D. Stay on routine thought paths. And number 4. By giving readers some quick exercises to do, the author gives them an opportunity to A. Learn some interesting facts. B. Argue with his main points. C. Question the meaning of life. And D. Think of something different. Number 5. The author would probably approve of teachers who A. Ask students about their original ideas. B. Have students guess what they are thinking. C. Give students more knowledge. D. Transfer their own attitudes to students. 6. The overall tone of the reading is A. Serious. B. Sad. C. Entertaining. And D. Angry. So here are the answers for the exercises before. Number 1. B. Teach readers how to think creatively. Number 2. A. Contemplate the bristles on their toothbrushes. Number 3. A. Transform one thing into another in an original way. Number 4. D. Think of something different. Number 5. A. Ask students about their original ideas. And 6. C. Entertaining. And now we are going with these exercises about defining which of these numbers are the main ideas about creative thinking text. And choose the answer down below. Number 1. Carl Only is an advertising legend who thinks creatively. Number 2. Creative thinking requires people to look at things in a new way. Number 3. The real key to being creative lies in what you do with your knowledge. Number 4. In short, by adopting a creative outlook, you open yourself up both to new possibilities and change. Number 5. The purpose of the coin punch was to leave an image on a small area such as a gold coin. Number 6. A nanosecond is a billionth of a second. Number 7. As each musician finished his part, he blew out his candle and left the stage. Number 8. By changing perspective and playing with our knowledge, we can make the ordinary extraordinary and the unusual commonplace. So think carefully about the answers for these exercises, and I will give you around to make sure. Set the alarm in your phone for about 8 minutes to do all of these exercises. Here are the answers for these reading skills. Number 2. Creative thinking requires people to look at things in a new way. Number 3. The real key to being creative lies in what you do with your knowledge. Number 4. In short, by adopting a creative outlook, you open yourself up both to new possibilities and change. Number 7. As each musician finished his part, he blew out his candle and left the stage. This week's assignment for the 13th meeting. B. Consider the issues, work with a partner to answer the questions below. Number 1. The author claims that through creative thinking, we can make the ordinary extraordinary and the unusual commonplace. Give one example from the reading of how an ordinary thing was made into something extraordinary. Give another example of how something unusual was made into something commonplace. 2. Try to think of possible solutions to exercises 1 and 2, lines 68 until 79. Compare your solutions with the ones at the bottom of this page. Did these exercises encourage you to think creatively? Explain how. Number 3. The author claims that most people do not think creatively because they haven't learned to do so in school. Do you agree? In your experience, do teachers ask about their students' original ideas, or should they? So don't forget to do these exercises for the 13th meeting homework and also fill in your attendance at LMS Unpak. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.